Hey guys, today we are gonna start a new topic, GUI programming. Let's see what we got for today. So, uh, we are gonna use JavaFX as you know. JavaFX is a framework, and also uh, maybe we have time later. We will talk about framework. What are frameworks? But right now, let's just assume it's a tool for GUI programming. All right. So in this lecture, I'm gonna talk about several things. So first, I will quickly and briefly talk about what JavaFX is, and then we start preparing our development environment, and we will write a hello world, yeah, our first JavaFX program. And also, I will talk about the very basic ingredients of a JavaFX GUI. They are a very important thing because the whole structure of the JavaFX applications based on those concepts. All right, and then we will go ahead and we will go a little bit further and describe, more detail about our first application, and we try to enhance it a little bit. So let's see how much time we will have, and also every topic and everything will be, shown by a live demo. So let's start with this topic. What is JavaFX? Okay, so as we said, this is a framework. It's a big library. Just consider it as a big library. It is written in Java. It's a very interesting thing, right? And its usage is creating graphical user interface or GUI. All right. It's part of Java 8 and 11, right? There is a gap here. So if your Java is something else, probably you won't be follow whatever I am saying here. So we base all of our efforts and all of our demos based on Java 8, right? So I would expect you guys have Java 8. JavaFX was introduced in 2008, and it was a replacement for Java Swing. That is very famous thing for, famous library for creating GUI in Java. So Java Swing was introduced in 1997, and the Java Swing was a replacement for AWT, right? Before the Java Swing, we wrote GUI programs in Java by Abstract Window Toolkit or AWT. We still have a lot of program in AWT and a lot more on Swing, right? All right, so uh, let's see what we got here. So when you create a JavaFX application, you can run it. Uh, you know, it's it can be run even though it's desktop, but the structure of that uh, programming language or JavaFX is in such a way that you can even consider it as a web application. And also, when you write a program, when you develop a program with JavaFX, you can run it on Android, iPhone, iPad, and of course the PC and Mac as well. Okay, so now let me give you a overview about the comparison between the JavaFX versus Java Swing. So JavaFX, as much as far as I know, it has a richer libraries and widgets, and also it is said that the development of the libraries of the JavaFX is constantly and very quick, but development of this swings library is almost slow. And also uh, creating the GUI with the JavaFX is faster and easier, right? So, the developers who knows the JavaFX have uh, a little bit higher performance because they can, create the code quicker. And also JavaFX is more efficient, so it runs very fast. Also the code is more readable, yeah, because I program with both of them, not that much, but that amount, that it was not, I mean, my day-to-day job, but I know that how JavaFX is easier. I mean, it has more readable code. uh, Using the JavaFX is simpler to develop a MVC uh, design pattern. I will cover this MVC later, but it is a design pattern that separates the different parts of the application. And with JavaFX, we can do that easier, let's say. And also, we can integrate sounds and video into the JavaFX application easier. So these were the benefits of JavaFX over the Swing. And yeah, but Swing is a great framework as well. I mean, there are a lot of jobs still for Swing, those developer who knows Swing. So yeah, but Java probably future is it belongs to JavaFX. That's why I picked the JavaFX. Now it's time to prepare our uh, development environment. But before going further, let me show you quickly how you can check that your Java is 1.8. All right. If it is not 1.8, then you will get a lot of problems. You know, even for this lecture and for the other lectures, right? Because your JavaFX won't work, all right? So, um, yeah, just bring up a command prompt, a Windows command prompt, and accordingly with the other operating systems, you just Java dash version. You should see something like this, 1.8. That point, the rest of that, we don't care about that, but 1.8 is important, right? Okay, one more time. If your Java is not 1.8 like this, you will get a lot of trouble. So if it is not 1.8, then you need to uninstall it completely and download a fresh Java 8, 1.8 I mean, from the Oracle website. All right. So, what is the procedure for preparing our development environment? Let's see. So, first we need to add a JavaFX support to our Eclipse. All right. Let me bring up my Eclipse and start doing something. All right, so since I want to start from the scratch, let me close this project that we created in the for the previous lectures. And you see, when I close a project, there is nothing here because I go to here, the filter and customization. Yeah, you see this guy, if you uncheck this close project, so all of these are those that will be filtered, all right? So if you uncheck the close project, then all of your close project will appear here. That I don't like this, it bothered me. So I prefer to go ahead and filter them out. Okay, so what we are gonna do, we want to add support for JavaFX. So in your Eclipse, you need to go to the help and then Eclipse Marketplace. And it's coming up. All right, so you just type JavaFX, enter, and this guy. So EFX Clips. I don't know how they pronounce it, but this is whatever we need to add to our Eclipse. So as of this moment, the latest version is 3.6.0. We just go ahead and install it. Yeah, it takes yeah, less than 1 minute for installing, and then it would prompt you to restart your Eclipse. Right, so we accept that and we finish. It is working here. And restart now. Yeah, restart. Okay, in the meantime, let me see what I got for the whole procedure that I just explained is here for your reference. All right. Okay, so after bring up the Eclipse, now we can create a JavaFX project. How? Yeah, very easy. Go here and new a project, no, not Java project. You go to the project and here just type Java FX. You see here? All right, so we have two things, library and project. We need this project one. So Java FX project, go ahead and next and give it a name. Let's say Java FX demo 1, right? The rest of that, yeah, just make sure that it is 1.8, right? Yeah, let me see. Is there anything else we need to check? Yeah, here it should be the desktop, not mobile, for our course, right? You can test it for your own, personal project. And the package name, yeah, just leave it as an application. And the language is none. Yeah. So later we will use this fxml. I don't know where maybe we use fx graph as well, but yeah, definitely we will use the fxml later. And yeah, the rest of this is okay. Just finish. So your first project will be created automatically. So whatever you need is, exist here. All right. So look at this JavaFX SDK and the JRE system library 1.8. You see? So if you don't have this stuff when your project is created, something is wrong. You need to check that. All right. So here, if you go to the build path of this project, and go to the library, you see here JavaFX SDK and JRE System Library 1.8. All right, we don't need anything more than this to start programming. Okay, all right, so let's see what it created for us. So first of all, it created an application package, and inside that you see a main Java and also a application CSS.css. We don't need this CSS yet, so yeah, we can get rid of that. No extra thing right now. All right, so we have a Java main here. Yeah, let's see, look at this and see what we got here. All right, so all of these was written by when you create a JavaFX project. Okay, so before going further, I mean, before explaining anything, right? Just let me run it and see what we get here. So we would say run as Java application. This is, somehow the uh, hello world of the JavaFX. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it doesn't show anything because this guy, we, just deleted this. So yeah, let me comment it out and then, yeah, go ahead and run it. And you will get something like this, a blank page. So if you get this blank page, it means that everything is fine and all of your setting is correct, your installation is correct, and your JavaFX is working fine. Okay, let me see what we have on the slides. So yeah, we follow all of these procedures, and also we created all of these just for your reference, whatever we did. All right. And this is again um, the same thing. Okay, so the only thing that I need to explain here is the perspective. The perspective of the code can be different. So what is perspective? So this layout that you can see here is for, let's say, Java programming. You see here, Java programming. If you want to debug something, so we have different perspective like this. All right. Okay. So um, maybe it asks you to change the perspective, then you say yes and just go ahead and try to see how that perspective works. So all of the perspectives can be seen here in the window. You see the perspective, you see all of the perspectives. So open the perspective and there are more. So for database development, Java browsing, XML, and there are more here. All right. Okay. Yeah, let's return back to our Java. Okay, let's see what else we have to talk about. So we run our program and we got this blank screen. So uh, yeah, so before I explain exactly what happened and those lines of code, are doing what, so what's the meaning of them and this kind of thing, let me give you a very quick overview about the JavaFX ingredient. Okay, that's a very important thing. It's a big picture about how JavaFX works. So JavaFX application looks like a theater play. Yeah, it's fun. So it's a theater play. It has a stage, all right? This stage is whatever you do. I mean, your program will perform on it, right? And what else we have? We have several scenes. Yeah, exactly like a theater, right? And also in each scene uh, we have a lot of actors. These actors are the visual elements of the Java application. So we call them as a node, right? And here are some examples. For example, a button, a text field, a label. There are a lot. There are a lot that we will see some of them here in this lecture, in these series of lecture, let's say, not in this particular one. And you will learn some of them by researching based on whatever you need in your application. Okay, so stage, scenes, and actors, and also we have a decorator that we call it as layout pane or layout manager. So its job is to manage and locate and relocate those nodes or those actors. All right. And also we have a producer and director that is you as a developer. Okay. All right. So let me now explain briefly each of these, but not particularly in this order. Right. Let's start with the node or the actors. So what is node? As we said, it is a visual element. It's the most important building blocks of JavaFX application, right? Here is some examples of the nodes. A button, yeah, a label like this, and even a container. A container that you put some other nodes, it itself is a node, right? Yeah, we can consider it as a node. So it means that if you have another container, right? You have another container, you can put this container inside this, right? You can put the label inside this, and we will see some of these. I will, give you a demo about a very simple application. Okay, so these are the nodes. So the most important building blocks of the JavaFX are called nodes or node. So what is scene? Scene, yeah, you can consider scene as a container that can have some nodes inside. You can put some nodes inside that, right? Behind the scene, JavaFX keep track of the nodes, the scene and the nodes as a directed graph. So, uh, yeah, it's a hierarchical fashion, keeping track of the all of these nodes, right? And if you are familiar with the HTML, and if you are familiar with the DOM, right? Uh, then you know that when I say it's a graph, it's a directed graph, and in a hierarchical fashion, what I am talking about. So that DOM or document object model, uh, it's exactly the same as here the scene. Okay, and also the main container of the JavaFX is called stage. So it's the root container or the root of that tree that I talked about in the previous slide. So it's a top level container that it will contain the whole other things. All right. So the primary stage will be created by the JavaFX itself when you create a project, JavaFX project, but you can add other stages if you really need. So this is the stage or top level window. Now let me explain, yeah, the layout pane. The layout pane or the layout manager is a piece of code that manage and locate and relocate your stuff inside the stage. Okay, so if you want to manually do that, then it works, but you know the best way to use that and manage all of the nodes inside the stage is to use a layout pane. Layout pane or layout manager, it can handle, you know, everything that you put inside your scene by itself. It can handle it automatically. Okay, we will go over this later. Right now, it's becoming too theory here. Yeah, let's postpone this layout pane. I will explain that later. Okay, so yeah, we have several layout pane. and we will go over all of them one by one, and I will take some example about that. So probably the first one and the easiest one is we call it VBox. VBox or vertical box is a layout pane or layout manager that keep keep all of the nodes that you add to that as a vertical box. It's a vertical shelf. Consider it as a shelf. So when you add, for example, a button, it put it on the top shelf, and then the next one on the next shelf, and so forth. So vertically, it align whatever you have. Okay, now like this. Yeah, you see, for example, if you add this, let's say this is a label. Yeah, it put it in this shelf, and the bottom goes here. So whatever you add to this layout pane, it will be stacked vertically like this. All right. Okay, so let me summarize whatever I said uh, under the ingredients of the JavaFX application. So we said we have a stage. Yeah, let me give you a big picture about that. So the big container or the top level container is a stage. The first stage will be created by the JavaFX, and I will show you in my live demo. And the next one, you can, assign or you can put some scenes inside that stage. All right. Here I put one scene, but you can have many, many scenes, right? And also inside the scene, we assign a layout pane or layout manager. And inside that layout pane, we add our nodes, right? So these are, several nodes. One of these nodes can be another container. We will see that in a few minutes. Okay, so this was our a very big picture how the building blocks of JavaFX works together to create an application. Now let's get back to our code. Look at this code. What happened here? So when we created this project, uh, this stuff has been created. This class that we call it main, it extends application. So what is an application? It's an abstract class. Let me show you what is that. So you know that control and click here, it goes and open it. And if of course the source is added, right? So JavaFX, the source is added. So that's why we can see the source code of that application class. All right, so this is an abstract class you see here, and we are so familiar with this stuff, right? Um, and look at this. It will force you to implement this guy, the start. So this start, uh, yeah, you can find it here. So the start should be an abstract method here, right? So let me find it. Yeah, start. Oh, how many start we have here? There we go. This guy. You see, it is an abstract method. So when we extend this abstract class, we know that all of the abstract methods should be implemented, and it forces to implement this guy here. So from here to here is the implementation of that start. Okay, so who will provide this primary stage or this stage? You remember I said the primary stage, the first stage, which is the root container of the application, will be provided by the framework, the JavaFX framework. So you don't need to pass anything here. You just implement that, whatever it is here. Then inside the main method, we see one launch here. So where is this launch coming from? Again, it is coming from the application. So let's go ahead and find the launch inside here. You see? So when this guy calls this launch, this code will be implemented. All right. So from here to here. Actually, we don't need to understand what's going on here because it's a framework and behind the scene everything will be done by itself. But it's not bad. You just dig into this and see what's going on. Anyway, let's get back to our main class. All right, so we implement this guy up to this point, and when you run this application, this launch will be run, and we can pass some args here. Yeah, we don't want to make everything complicated yet. Just forget about that arg. Just launch will be called, and the application will be run. All right. Okay, so now let's go ahead. Let's move on and see what are these stuff that is here, right? Okay, so this guy. Okay, so this guy, I am going to get rid of that for now. We don't need to have a CSS file. Okay, so look at this border pane. So border pane is one of those pane manager, right? S- so what I am saying, I mean layout pane or layout manager. All right. Uh, what happened to my Eclipse? Okay, so this is one of them, but let me change it to VBox. Okay. So let me change it to VBox. So VBox, vertical box, you remember that? So VBox. Yeah, we would need to add it as an import. Yeah, go ahead and import that. All right. Okay, so yeah, for now we don't want to talk about the border pane. Just you can, this warning is annoying too. So Control Shift O will clean up the imports. Control Shift O. All right. So we created a layout manager here, and we created a scene here. That's a container. Yeah. So we are uh, passing this route inside this scene. So when you create a scene needs a layout manager, right? So you create it here and then pass it here, and then this is the width and height of the that window that you have seen, the blank window, right? Let's leave this as is. Okay, so what else we have? So now we need to, so you remember the stage is the high level or top level container. We need to add this scene inside the this stage, right? So you add this scene here. You see set scene, and you are passing this scene guy here. And up to this point, everything is good. Uh, we have our stage, we have a scene, and we have a layout manager. And just remember that you need to say, hey, primary stage, show whatever you have, just show. Yeah. In this case, your code will be shown. Okay, so for sure, let me run this for sure one more time. All right. Yeah, again, we get this guy. All right. Uh, yeah, in the next section, we are gonna add some stuff. here. Up to this point, our base application is working, and we are a little bit familiar with the building blocks of the JavaFX ingredients. And also we are familiar a little bit about the code, that how we instantiate them and how we use them and how we show them and how we run them. All right. Now let's enhance our first application a little bit and add some other stuff. Okay. So we are going to change this application like this. We want to add a label on the top and then a button right beneath that, and then we want to add some operations, some uh, uh, you know we need to write some code to and add that code to that button in such a way that when you click that, a listener is listening to that click and do something, right? In this case, in this simple application, we want to, increment that counter, upward, right? It starts from 0 or 1, whatever. And when you click on that button, it start adding that number. So it's a very simple application, but you will learn a lot about the basics of programming in Java FX. All right. So, yeah, so let me bring up my Eclipse one more time. Okay. So, So we would need one label over there, you see, this counter equal to something. So I'm gonna add a label here. So let's say label, let's call it LBL equal to new label, right? And if you put a message here, whatever, it will be written in that label. So uh, we want to write a counter equal to question mark, right? And this semicolon. So we need to import that label here. Okay, so you know what I am doing, right? So this counter thing, counter equal to 4. So it should start with counter equal to question mark, and then yeah, it should be incremented. All right. So let me now, yeah, let me increase the font. Yeah, it's a bigger font. Let me add a font here. So LBL set font, right? And the font, it's an object. You can say new font, and you can say what kind of font you want. Let's say it's a Arial, which is very easy, and the size of the font, let's say it's 30, something like that. All right, so we need to add the font as well. Java, no, you should be careful. This is AWT. No, this one, Java FX. Okay, so now we have our label. Um, okay, so let me see. I would need a button. All right, so let me define a button. Button. I don't know. Let me call it increment button. BTN means button. Yeah, new button. Oops, button. So whatever you put it here, it will be uh, written as the label of the, so it's a count. So let me call it count, consistent with the lecture note. So Control 1 to import JavaFX button. All right. Okay. So Now you will need to add these buttons into our uh, VBox, right? So I mean the layout pane, right? So I can do here. So you remember that I said the layout pane keep track of all of the nodes as a tree. So we need to um, get the children. It's a list, and we need to uh, add to this list. So this return the list of the all of the childrens, and then we would say, okay, add for me the a node. Which node? First, we need to add the label. All right. So we added this label to our layout pane. All right. So now we need to add the button as well. So I just make a copy here, and then I will add this. So we expect that since this is a VBox, vertical box, and we expect that it will stack from the top to the bottom whatever you add to it, right? So we expect to see something like this. First the label and then the button, all right? Okay, so let me see. Everything is fine. Yeah, the root is added to the scene, and okay, everything is fine. Let me run the code. There we go. Yeah. So this is whatever we needed, right? Okay, so now when we click on the count, nothing happened because we didn't attach any code to this button. Now our job is to attach some code inside that. So for this, we need to attach that piece of code to this button. So we would say inc btn dot. So its name is set on action. This one, the first one. All right. So look at that and see what we got here. So we need an event handler. You see here, an event handler action event. All right. So this event handler is an interface, or it might be an abstract class. We don't care right now. We can investigate that later, but we need to provide that. All right. In either case, if it is an interface or an abstract class, we need to implement that. Right. So we have two options here. One option is to create and assign. I mean, we can implement as a separate file and then we use it here. But it's not the case because we just want to use it once. And you remember that we have several options in this case. One of them is to use an anonymous class, right? Let's go with the anonymous class first, and then we convert it to a lambda expression. So beautiful, right? Okay, so we go with this one. All right. So I need to all right. I need to implement a abstract class, right? So I can do that right here in the argument like this. So I can say new. It's an event handler. You see that guy here? Yeah, event handler. And it is a generics that I will cover later, but for now, just let's use it. Action event, something like that. And we would say parenthesis and like this. You see, we are um, implementing on the fly as an anonymous class. Okay, let me add this as an import. Be careful about this. This is Java beans. It's not Javafx. Yeah, this one. And probably this one as well. Import Javafx. And what else? Yeah, now it is complaining that hey, you are implementing an abstract class. You need to implement all of the not unimplemented method or abstract method. Yeah, no problem. We will do that. So add unimplemented methods. You see, this guy should be implemented, right? Let me get rid of this. So what is the implementation here? All right. We wanted to add, when we click on that count, uh, it want to, it should, add one to that counter, right? All right. So we would need to set the text of that label. How? Here. So what was that label? We called it LBL. We would say, hey, set the text that label for me, and it is saying that yeah, so I need to provide a string here. So the string could be let's see, counter equal to, then we can add a number. So we need to, yeah, we need to prepare here. So let's private. So actually this is an inside the method, so we can say int equal to, let's just do counter, for example, counter equal to, let's say 0, right? And here, uh, let me add it here. So let's say counter plus equal to 1. We might use as a counter plus plus, but for some reason I am using this counter plus 1 plus equal to 1, right? And then I will use this counter here. Okay, so what is happening here? Let me see, what is the complaint? The local word counter defined in an enclosing scope must be final or effective. No. Let me see here. Counter. Yeah, I think I need to move this counter here as a instance variable to be able to use it over there um, easily. All right. So the counter starts from 0, and then for every click, look at this, for every click, this piece of code will be called for every click on that button. So um, then counter will be added by 1 and it will be appeared here. All right, cool. Let's see how it works. Let me run the code again. All right, so count. There we go. Yeah. All right, cool. So let me now add another one that, another button that it will decrement, right? Yeah, cool. Let me see. I can go ahead here and create another one. So that's increment. Let's call it decrement. Decrement button. Yeah, the same. Oh no, we need to add. So let's call it increment and let's call it decrement. All right. We would need to add a piece of code, a listener, whose job is instead of adding, it should decrement. So let me copy and paste this portion. All right. And here, instead of adding, the decrementing, and yeah, so we are adding this to this button. So this piece of code will be added to that button as a listener, and it start listening. And when you click on that button, this piece of code will be called. All right. Okay, so this is not the way that I write the code, people. Yeah, this is just a demo, and I am putting everything in one place. No, this is not the way that we need to code. All right, so I need to add this decrement button to here as well, to our scene, to our layout pane, right? So I copy this, and instead of the increment, then I would say decrement. Yeah, let me see how it works. Okay, so now we have two buttons here, and you see they still are stacking from the top to the bottom, right? When you add, because it's a V box, since it is a, our layout manager is a V box, so it vertically align everything here. All right, so let's see, increment works fine, decrement, yeah, yeah, you can add and decrement. Okay, in our next task, let me show you that how we can, create another layout manager and put it inside the same scene. Okay, so for this sub project, let's say, I want to, um, have a H box, which is a horizontal box here, and I want to add these two buttons inside that H box. And then the H box will be added to the V box. All right. Okay, so let me put it here. Okay, for this purpose, I am going to add an H box. H box. Let's call it H. Let's call it buttons. Because I want to put all of the buttons over there. New H box. Okay, we would need to import the right one. Okay, so now the buttons should be, so let me put it here. The buttons should be put inside this H box now. Control C, Control V, Control V. All right, so we defined the H box, and then we added these two button. Since it is a horizontal box, it manage everything horizontally. So we would expect to have two buttons side by side, yeah, in one line. All right. Okay, so now we need to add these buttons to this V box. All right. Let me put it here. All right. So in the VBox, first we added the label, and now we are going to add that container, right? And this container, which now contain two buttons. All right, I think we all set. Let's move and run the code. Yeah, you see, now we have two buttons in one line, because we put them in a container whose job is to manage everything in one line horizontally. Okay, they are still working, right? All right, let's see what we got from the lecture note. Yeah, I explained everything here. All of this stuff is for your reference. Um, at the bottom, the label and the VBox layout pane or layout manager. Yeah, I explained everything. The only thing that's left here in this page is how we can change this anonymous class to this lambda expression here. Uh, yeah, we know how to do that. In the previous lecture, we learned this, but just in case, look at how we can do that. So instead of this anonymous class that we created from here to here, I'm gonna, replace it with a lambda expression. All right. So let's see, increment button set on action. All right. Okay. So what is that lambda expression? Okay. How can we prune all of these stuff that we don't need? So this new, this the abstract class name, right? And its type variable and up to the public void and the name. You see, all of these can be pruned because all of these stuff can be figured out by the JVM. All right. So what left here? So even the action event, the type of this we don't need. So we just need to introduce a variable, and since it is just one, even we can remove that parenthesis as well. So we say event, all right, and we can put our code inside these curly braces, right? All right, so this code from here to here, we just put it here, right? So even we can, make it simpler. Just, this add, we can use the plus plus, all right? But for now, let's keep it here. In that case, because it would be a one line code, right? All right, so let me get rid of this and see it should work as before. All right, let me run it as, yeah, we can run it with the main. All right, okay, increment. Yeah, you see, it's working fine. Yeah, with the same technique, uh, you can replace the next one as well, this one. Okay, so I was saying that we can say, yeah, let me use plus plus here and um, write this one. Yeah, instead of that, we can use this one as well. Now, if it works, then it is just one line of code and we can get rid of these curly braces as well, right? Yeah, it is working fine. See? All right, so we can remove this. We can remove all of this. And it's just one line of code. And even we don't need this one, this way. All right. Yeah. So, right. So the last thing is not in the lecture note. The last thing, I mean, the uh, adding a new button and putting them in an horizontal box. It's not in the lecture note, but I think it's easy to follow from the live demo. Okay, guys, here what I had for the first lecture in the under the this topic JavaFX. We will continue talking a little bit more advanced things in the next lecture. See you guys in the next lecture.